So Kaylee's showing us a dropping bottle. Could you move it a little bit lower, please? There we go. And you can see that it's got these little channels on the side. Now currently it's off. And now what Kaylee's going to do, she's going to turn it. Now you turn it so that the little nub there is in line with one of the channels. Now she's actually in the process of filling this graduated cylinder. So she's putting, I think, how many mils?
5.
5 mils, okay. Now it doesn't have to be exactly 5 that she collects, just sometime in some place in the ballpark. Now you'll notice here that as she pours it, it forms little drops at the end of the nub there and falls into the graduated cylinder. She's going to do this for both acids, both the concentrated nitric and the concentrated sulfuric. Alright, so Cassidy's going to make a ice salt bath, and what you can see is we have ice in the bucket and we also have some salt. Could you please hold the salt up? There we go. Now the salt, there's about 4 times as much ice as there is salt. That's a good ratio. And what Cassidy's going to do is just pour the salt in. Or pour it in. And she's going to mix it around really well. There we go. It gets really, really cold, really, really fast. So Cassidy's got 4 mils of nitric acid, 5 mils of sulfuric. She's going to pour them both into a test tube. And then we're going to put that test tube in the iced salt bath to cool. Be a little bit careful with that. Sort of add it fairly slowly. There we go. Shouldn't be too violent. Okay, that's good. Alright, now she's going to put that in the ice. And that's the ice salt bath. She's going to let that cool. So here we've got 12 mils of sulfuric acid and 6 mils of methyl benzoate. So we're going, which one do we put in first?
Sulfuric acid.
Okay, let's go ahead and put sulfuric acid in first.
I use more size because this one has some salt in it.
Then go ahead and add the methyl benzoate to that. And now we're going to put that into the ice as well. So give it a little bit of a swirl. Okay, go ahead and stick it in the ice. We're going to get a couple of thermometers and we're going to check the temperature, get them down below 5 degrees. So we've got both mixtures here, the sulfuric nitric acid mixture and the sulfuric acid methyl benzoate mixture. You can see them both in there. They're down now below 5 degrees, so Cassie's going to take both of those thermometers out. She's going to probably put them into a test tube so that because they're going to have some corrosive stuff on them. Then she'll wash them off a little bit later. Now the idea here is, actually you'll need to keep one of those thermometers in the here. There we go. Because we want to keep this temperature below 5 degrees while we add the sulfuric acid nitric acid mixture. So go ahead, Cassidy, and add your sulfuric acid. And what I'd like you to do is get it a little bit closer.
Okay.
Put it a little bit closer, that way we don't have to drip it so far. Can you bury it a little bit deeper?
Trying. Thank you, Jenny.
There we go. All right. Now you'll have to, Bonnie, do you want to give this a bit of a swirl? Yeah, swirl that each time. So what's going to happen is that Cassie's going to add this over the course of about 15 minutes. Now, if there's any left at the end of 15 minutes, what she's going to do is just go ahead and dump it all in. But in the meantime, she's going to try and keep that temperature below, below 5 degrees Celsius. As long as she does that, then this experiment will go just fine. So what we've been doing is adding the sulfuric acid, nitric acid mixture over the past 15 minutes, trying to keep the temperature below 5 degrees, and you've been successful at doing that?
Yep, I guess.
Okay, so now what they're going to do is they have a little bit left, and they're just going to go ahead and dump it all in. Now when they do that, the temperature's going to go up, but that's okay. You can leave it in there. Yeah, just go ahead and dump it all in. There we go. So that's the remaining part of the sulfuric acid nitric acid mixture. Give it a bit of a swirl and take it out of the ice because we want this to go up to room temperature. You got to leave the thermometer in there, please. All right, so they've set up the Buchner funnel here, and you can see that it's been set up correctly. It's been clamped, which is what I really like to see. We've got these correct sized filter papers. Those go directly in here like this. And you don't want to use one that's too big or too small. One that fits over the holes is just right. So next we're going to take our mixture and pour it onto cracked ice. Yeah, I think you got too much ice in there, by the way, Cassie. Let's maybe have about half that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take out a little bit more ice. Okay, so let's go ahead and pour all that on. You'll need a stirring rod as well. Could you get a stirring rod, Jen, please? You can go ahead and pour it, Cassidy. And hopefully, when she pours it on, we'll get to see some solid. So we've poured it onto cracked ice, and you can see that there's some solid in there. And we're going to go ahead and filter that solid. So go ahead and Bonnie and turn that on, please. Now the solid we get out of this is not particularly nice, but we are going to go ahead and recrystallize that. We don't have to have it dry at this point. So what they're going to do is take that out and put it into a 25ml Erlenmeyer flask. So we're going to rinse this now with methanol and water. But we're not going to wait too long to dry it. Okay. Add methanol in there?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. You can pour that fairly quickly. We don't want to have it dissolve everything. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and take that solid now and put it into the Erlenmeyer. It's right here. You got a spatula?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and scrape that out. We still have solid in there, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Alright, that'll do for that. Have you got your 6 mils of methanol?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to recrystallize this now, and Cassie's going to add a couple of boiling stones to the solution, or to the solids. There we go. Now she's going to add 6 mils of methanol. Okay, so now Cassidy's going to put this onto the hot plate. Make sure the hot plate isn't warming before you do this. Methanol boils at a very low temperature. So let's go ahead and put it on there, and now you can turn on the hot plate. Alright, we're going to wait for this to boil, and then I'll come back to this. So now you can see that the solution is becoming a bit more homogeneous, but there might be some oily globs in there. I think there might be. That'll be melted product. but we need to have that completely clear. It doesn't have to be colourless, but it has to be completely clear. Would you give it a bit of a stir, please? Now, if we can't dissolve everything while it's boiling with all the methanol that's in there, we're going to add more methanol to dissolve it. But I think it looks as though, what do you think?
Just the boiling stone is left.
Yeah, it looks like it's just, okay. So it looks like it's pretty much, is it boiling now?
A little bit.
Okay, let's leave it on there for a little bit longer, make sure it boils completely. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom in on this. And it now is completely homogeneous and it is boiling. So now Cassidy is going to go ahead and take it off and put it onto the bench. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wait until we have some crystals in the bottom there, and then we're going to stick that into ice. Oh, it looks like we've got some crystals here, so Cassie's going to go ahead and stick that into the ice. We're going to leave it in there until it's as cold as the ice. So we've left this in here for a while now, and often students ask, well, how long do you leave it in the ice for? Well, you want to leave it in the ice. Do you mind? Thank you. Thank you. So you wipe off any of the ice here, and then you put your hand around it, just like this. And you ask yourself this question: in my heart, is this as cold as ice? And if it is as cold as ice, truly in your heart as cold as ice, then you are ready to filter it. Otherwise, it goes back into the ice bucket until it is as cold as ice. So we're going to filter our solution here. Give a good swirl, swirl and dump. Swirl, swirl, swirl and dump. There we go. Try and get as much of the solid as we can. And we do have a rinse solution here that's cold, ice cold methanol, right? Now let's go ahead and add some of that. And we're going to let this sit until it's dry. With methanol, it won't take too long, probably about maybe 10 minutes. And then we're going to weigh it and get a melting point. Alright, let's go ahead and take the solid out of there and we'll put it onto this weighed watch glass. Oh, those look nice, don't they? Okay, so she's just going to scrape that out of there onto the watch glass with her spatula. Now, after she's done all that, she's got as much as she can, she's going to go ahead and weigh that.